If you are a beginner, leader, or follower who needs help urbanizing your Saidas, this video is for you. If you are an intermediate level dancer or higher who wants to take the musical variations of your Saidas to the next level, this video is also for you. And just to let you guys know, we're going to get pretty nerdy in this dance video, so make sure you have on your thinking caps. Let's go. Before we get started in the video, I just want to let you know that this was originally an idea for a Saida concept that I was thinking was going to be just about 15 minutes long. But after we got recording, it ended up being almost an hour worth of content around this idea. So we're going to split this up into 4 different parts to make it easier to follow along and you don't get stuck watching an hour-long video for these concepts of the 53s, the 62s, and the 44s. It's all going to be on one playlist on YouTube to make it easier to find. So let's get started with part 1. Guys, welcome to another video. My name is Charles.
And my name is Sarah.
And we're going to be helping you guys today level up your Saidas. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of today's video, we definitely want to set the stage of the numbers that we're going to be using to describe different things in the dance. And so I think this is really important, not just in this video, but throughout your dance journey. It's going to be important to realize that we use the same numbers to describe different things, yeah? And I'm going to throw up an image here on the screen so you guys can see that. Obviously, the most basic framework is the musical count, yeah? 5, 6, 7, 8, and 1. And we're repeating that 8 count, yeah? That's only one dimension of numbers that we have when it comes to breaking down dance. We can also be very specific in the sequence of the move that we are trying to explain. Is this the first step, the second step, third step, fourth step, etc., in regards to that move or intention, which can fall into different timings as far as the musical count is concerned. And then the third dimension of numbers that we want to be aware of is how long does that step last, yeah? So let's say, for example, I take a step forward on the first count of the music, but that count is going to last 4 counts long, yeah? So musically, it's on the 1. Sequentially, that is the first step, and the length of the step could be 1, 2, 3, 4, for example, yeah? But I could say, hey, I'm going to take the step forward on the 5 musically. Sequentially, it's still 1, and then the length of it could be 2 counts long. So I could have something like 5, 6, and then on 7, I would step something else, yeah? So in the framework of 53s, 62s, and 44s, having this understanding is going to be super, super important. And we're going to do our best today to make sure that we're very specific of which numbers is referring to what in regards to this framework. So that's the first thing we wanted to get out of the way.
So we really just wanted to get you a little familiar with some of the lead and follow concepts that are going to underpin doing Saidas. So the counts of Saidas are something to note really briefly. 53 Saidas, 5 plus 3 equals 8. 62 Saidas, 6 plus 2 equals 8. 44 Saidas, you may have guessed, 4 plus 4 equals 8. We'll go back to that a little later. We also have these 6 different directions that you can step. With each foot counting, that is to the front, to the side, and to the back. And then we also have these 6 different lanes that we step in. Very briefly, since we're next to each other, basically we have the 2 lanes that we're in. You have 2 lanes to either side of you as well to make the 6. We also have disassociation. Very simply put, it means that you can do a different thing with the upper part of your torso than what you're doing with the bottom part of your torso. So walking forward, you can still be changing where your upper torso is facing and your head as well. And then we also have the stud muffin radar. Specifically, the lead is the stud muffin and the follow is having this radar so that their torso is going where the lead goes. So even if I'm not moving in a step, I need to be matching where the lead goes. These concepts are very key and fundamental to how we execute Saidas. So they definitely matter as far as being aware of them and being able to key into those as you're doing them. One other area that is useful to note is something that has been coined ambidextrous dexterity. Essentially, being able to use your legs and feet equally. In Kiz, specifically, the lead's left foot and the follower's right foot tend to get a lot more notice as far as initiating steps, and that can lead to having a bit of a preference, a bit more of a competence with those particular steps. So we really want to break that and not get into that pattern. We want to be able to use both legs, both feet equally as we are going through steps and changes in the system. And it makes it a little bit easier as well when you then have to deal with tempo changes and having increase or decrease in your steps. That is going to really help you key in and make that more fluid, regardless of which leg you're using. So followers need to keep in mind that although we're doing this as a drill, the goal is that you want to have the ability to respond to the leader as they change up tempo, and that means you need to be in very, very clear control of your weight transfers. It's difficult if you're not to be able to respond effectively to the leader. If the leader gives a sudden indication to speed up or slow down a step, and you've already committed weight too quickly or not quick enough because you are not realizing the tempo could change, that means that you're scrambling to catch up or you even run into them. So being aware of that and keeping clear control of that, no matter what steps you're doing at the moment, that is going to enable you to respond to any of these changes. Now, things that we want from the leads as followers, we definitely do want some very specific things when we're talking about Saidas. So the first thing is disassociation. Touched on it a little bit previously, but being able to have that clear indicator with the lead's torso, what they're doing, regardless of the fact that it won't match their legs and their feet. If we don't see that as followers, we're not going to do the response in kind, and it's going to throw off every step following. So we do need that clearly. Another item is weight transfers. As I mentioned before with the follows, while we need control over that, if we're not getting a clear intention from the lead as far as tempo changes, we're not going to respond by going towards that tempo change. We're going to stick to what we were doing ahead of time. So we do need to feel that clearly through their frame as they're moving. Another item is the skin, muscle, bone intention. Won't go too far into that, but basically it's the intensity that you feel from a lead within the frame. We want to keep everything with the Saida at the skin level. Nothing about this is very intensive. We're not getting off of a leg entirely. All of this we should be able to feel clearly through the frame without this extra force going into the muscle section or even bone. We want to keep that very light, and that leads into just not feeling unnecessary force overall. It's very easy for a lead who isn't sure about their follow to overcorrect and give a huge amount of force. And really what that leads the follower to doing is coming off of their own balance, and they may stumble into you. You could even fall down. So we do want you to keep it very light and trust that your intentions are going to be felt through your frame and communicate that clearly instead.
Definitely. So for the leaders that I'm going to be speaking to now, like Sarah was saying, skin, muscle, bone is super, super important for this particular situation in the terms of leveling up your Saidas, but even your dance overall. You want to be a smooth lead that is able to give the cues and the intentions appropriately without treating the follower like an inanimate object that you're just kind of lugging around on the dance floor. That's not how you should be leading your dance. It doesn't take a lot to communicate things through touch versus force and trying to get like the whole follower's body weight to come through. And for the followers, it's also going to be important for you to not act like an inanimate object and take that ownership over your weight transfer, over your axis and how you're stepping and the size of your steps and things of that nature. So that way the leader can just give you the cue for you to move yourself, and he's not inclined to have to move you because you're not able to pick up on the nuances of the lighter leads and the lighter intentions that you may be feeling through the frame. So there's definitely some teamwork that needs to happen there to make this possible. So before we get into the meat and potatoes of the lesson of leveling up your Saidas, I do want to let you know that this video is sponsored by learntokiz.com, your online resource where you can level up your kids. We have over 100 videos and counting that are being spread out over 8 different modules for you to learn and increase your skill level across different facets of your dancing, from fundamentals, drills, lead and follow concepts, musicality, and so on. So that is where we are putting all of our approach to teaching kids online. And you can definitely try that out for free for 7 days with a month-to-month membership or annual membership. All of those details are at learntokiz.com/join. And if you are looking to take your training seriously to the next level, you can reach out to us for one-on-one coaching. That is also on the site at learntokiz.com/join. All right, guys, so let's jump into the meat and potatoes of this family of moves that we have, which is the 53, 62, and 44. So let's build this framework so we can get into the more advanced sections of this video. So in a nutshell, a 53 is a follower Saida plus basic 3 at the end. And like Sarah mentioned before in the video, 5 + 3 = 8. Music that we dance to is on 4/4 music. And so it makes sense for our drills, at least, to be able to be structured around the 8 count. And the thing that we have to keep in mind with the Saidas is that there are 5 steps and there's 1 step forward but 4 steps back. So in my workshops, in my earlier days of teaching, I'm like, okay, I want the students to be super good at Saidas. We're going to do 20 Saidas back to back. Let's do some laps like the Olympic swimmers going back and forth. Let's do some Saida laps, yeah? So I have my students in a room and I'm like, okay, let's do our Saida laps. And we started.
N1, N2, N3, N4, N5, N1, N2, N3, N4, N5, N1, N2, N3, N4, N5, N1, N2, N3, N4, N5. And so as you can see, like I mentioned before,
we have 1 step forward and 4 steps back. So eventually we will run out of space. So my initial idea of calling it a 53 is adding a basic 3 at the end of the move to get back to where we started. So if we do a Saida, 1 and 2, 3, 4, and 5, and we do a basic 3, then we get back more or less to where we started. So we save space in whatever room it was that I was teaching in, yeah? But then I ran into another issue. Doing a marca and then continuing to walk forward did not feel as fluid to do marca here and then continue to walk forward. So my workaround around that was to do a 90-degree turn at the end of the marca of the Saida, yeah? So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 1, 2, 3. So I'm still eating up those 3 counts. And we have another marca here on the 8 count, ready for a 1, 2, 3, 4 marca, and then another 90-degree turn to go along with that 53, yeah? So it's shorthand, and instead of saying woman Saida, we called it woman Saida before, but woman Saida with basic 3 at the end over and over again, I was guiding the students through the call outs. I just found it was quicker to call it a 53. So 53 was born. So for beginners who are just starting to learn Saidas and they need to drill the Saidas over and over again because the disassociation isn't something that it's definitely something you have to get used to with kids. If you don't have a kids background, the 53s are a perfect drill for you to practice and not take up a lot of space. For my more advanced dancers who, let's say the woman Saida, you got that down. The next thing you want to learn is the Urban Kiz Saidas, yeah? And if you're practicing that Urban Kiz Saidas, it's definitely something that takes practice. You have to drill it, yeah? So a 53 framework is also really helpful for you to practice those Urban Kiz Saidas in a condensed space. And so I'll just do 2 of those really quickly. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, 5, 6, 7, repeat. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8. So Urban Kiz Saida also back to back for you to practice and get better at the Urban Kiz framework. And again, drilling those things so that way when you get on the dance floor, it's not taking up so much mental focus, yeah? We want to get into the details of that step right here. If you want to see a video of that, let us know in the comments. That may be something that we can put out, or you can become a member at Learn to Kiz, and we definitely have several videos built around the teaching of that, the intro, and then several variations from that standpoint, if that's something that you're into.